Hey YouTube, it's Olympus Reptiles, and today we're going to talk about, well, something near and dear to my heart to begin with. And before I start that though, a couple things. One, check out the shirt. It's not purple for once. That's only because USARK doesn't make their shirts in purple, so I had to get this color. But we are proud to support USARK, and even though they are about as slow as I am in getting t-shirts to people who support them, hey, I get it, because I'm just as slow. Those of you on my Patreon know what I mean sometimes. Speaking of that, if you like what you see, click like, click subscribe, check out our Patreon, give it a shot if you want. If not, that's okay too. Not the end of the world, but you're lost on the great community that we have built there. All right, on to today's topic. I'm getting a lot better about getting that like and subscribe thing in early on, because that's what YouTube tells me I have to do. So, you know, we all hail the great YouTube Lord and follow their advice. We're going to talk about different types of breeders. And because of that, I don't even know what the hell I got on this paper. We're going to use this handy dandy paper. So, and it's like neon green in my eye. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. But this is just kind of a thing to write on. So where is this coming from? Well, it's going to lead into part of the series. You know, we always talked about doing business videos. We did a bunch of them. We got away from. We're going to do a few more here. This kind of leads into that. And one thing I've seen a lot of over the years, not just recently, but forever, since the very beginning, was it seems like the ball python world or the reptile world in general always wants to have a big dick measuring contest. And I've never quite understood that. You know, this dates back to when I was brand new and I was first getting on things like Facebook, and, you know, you get on there and you'd see people who come in and you'd get afraid to post anything because you'd watch people get eviscerated for asking a legit question. You know, and it was everybody just trying to prove how knowledgeable and how great they were. And then you'd hear things like, oh, well, they're not a real reptile keeper. Oh, they're not a real breeder. They're not a real breeder because I do this and they've only done this. Or they're not real because of this. It's all bullshit. That's what I want to say from the word go. And if you participate in that, stop, because you're not helping yourself, nor are you helping me, nor are you helping anybody else, because what that tends to do is alienate people. And think if you were brand new and you got into something that you're excited about, and I've seen it happen, man, and you jump in there as a brand new person and you're going to start breeding, and I've probably been guilty of a time or two, not usually on purpose, but sometimes we're all going to get taken wrong in what we say. And, you know, somebody comes on there and just eviscerates you and starts calling you names or telling you that you can't, you know, you'll never be a real breeder, or you know, you're not a real breeder, you're not this, you're not that, because you've only done this, or you're only working with this, or you're not doing X, or you're not doing Y, or whatever reason you're not as great as they are, then that makes a lot of people get out. It leaves a very, very bad taste. And when that person, especially that person who's interested in breeding, they come into this hobby, right? And then they get out before they ever get started. And let me tell you what that does. That kills customers. They would be a really good customer for a while for a lot of people buying different snakes, so they grow their snakes up to begin their breeding projects and adding more and adding more. I mean, we've been a good customer to a lot of people. A lot of people have been good customers to us. That doesn't happen if they never get started. So knock that shit off and support those new people, even if sometimes new person questions get annoying. Remember, we were all new once, so support those folks. So I got really tired of the you're not a real breeder, you're not this, you're not that. So I kind of started thinking in my head, what does it mean to be a real breeder? And the simplest thing I could come up. So if you want to have a line in the sand of where you're a real breeder, right? Real breeder. That is when you produce a baby. Congratulations, you produced a baby snake. You're a real breeder. Until then, I would say you're breed curious, which isn't a bad thing either. You know, when I was a teenager for a while, I was curious about girls. Then all of a sudden, I wasn't as curious. I kind of figured it out, if you catch my drift there, right? So my point is, same thing, you're breed curious, and then you figure it out, you produce your first snake, and now you're a breeder. So here you are, you've got 6 little babies, maybe 5, maybe 4, maybe 12, hell, I don't know. You're a breeder. That's it. You are a reptile breeder. So let's get that out of the way. A real breeder is somebody who has produced snakes. Anybody up until then, we shouldn't shun them as less than us, because they're trying to be there just like we were one day. So let's help those people along, get them into that real breeder status. Now, but you're going to say to me, but Matt, so I got to treat some guy who's produced 1 clutch in his first year, you know, like he's somebody, like he matters? Yeah, because he fucking does. So do it. Treat them right. And here's where that would be. So you have different levels. You're not stuck in these, by the way. You can move between them. So here is your breed curious. And it's upside down for you, but I'll turn it around. Don't mind my crappy spelling. hasn't produced yet. These are folks who are getting into the hobby, right? They're going to need a lot of support. They're going to need a lot of help. If you do this, if you go and you help those people, you answer their text messages when you can, you take some time at shows to talk to them, you do it with a smile, and you don't act like you're annoyed or pissed the entire time, they are going to be your customer. That's cool, right? We like these people. Breed Curious are awesome. Then up here, you get your, what I will call, hobby breeder. And you don't have to step. This is not a ladder either. It's drawn like a ladder, but it doesn't mean you can't skip spots, okay? You don't have to go through every single rung. This is somebody, they're producing, maybe 1 clutch a year, maybe 3 clutches a year, but what really makes them a hobby breeder is, what is their goal? Their goal is going to be, fun. Fun, projects, maybe a little pocket money to offset cost. I'll flip that around. So right here, so here's the first two. Breed Curious, hasn't produced. Then they usually get to here. Again, you don't have to go through each and every step. A hobby breeder, they're producing, more about fun. They got projects they're working. A lot of these people are doing this with their kids. And maybe they got 1 or 2 kids who are interested. Like, we'll do this a little bit with their children, see what they like. This is a lot of times kicking the tires on it too. I was here for a bit. I didn't know what I was going to do for a long time. Maybe a little pocket money to offset the cost. Like, rats are expensive. I'll sell enough to cover my rats, make this hobby cheaper. But we're really not looking at this as being anything beyond, maybe being able to take the wife out every now and then, or the girlfriend out, or somebody else's wife out. I don't care how you live your life. That's not what this is about. Unless it's mine, then I'm going to have problems. And my problems end up being 45 size at that. Anyway, so hobby breeder, right? Hobby breeder. So then let's go up another chunk. Then you have a for-profit breeder. This is what we are. This is probably where I'll stay. I don't plan on going to the next one up, and I'll explain why. But again, a for-profit breeder. Again, they're producing. Usually, good number of clutches. Now, what that means to you and me may be different things. You can be a for-profit breeder on 2 or 3 clutches if they're the right ones. You're probably not going to stay that way, though, if you're not adding to what you're doing, because of the way the market works long term. But you can be, you're producing your goal. That's where it's important, right? Their goal is to make money, number 1. Okay? That's their number 1 goal. Post-stat, fun. I like doing this. That's it. Fun projects. Attaining, for me anyway, unattainable snakes. Okay, let me flip that around. I'll explain what I mean on all that. So here you have your for-profit breeder. So they, again, usually you're talking multiple clutches a year, not 1 or 2, not 3 or 4. If they're doing that few of clutches, they're going to be having to do some very high-end stuff. High-end stuff doesn't stay high-end forever. If you think it does, you can go and look back. I mean, there was a time sunsets were 30 grand, they're 3 grand. There's a time scaleless was 125 grand. People wouldn't even part with it at that. Now you can buy them for 3 grand. There was a time, all of those things. There was a time pied were 10,000. Now they're 350. So those things will come as supply and demand changes. So if you're going to do that on a small number of clutches, you need to constantly be putting a lot of that back in to stay on that cutting edge. Me personally, I like to have more variety in life. That's just who I am. So there's more than one way to do this for-profit breeding. This is not easy, okay? This is going to be work. This is easy. This is pretty easy. I mean, this takes some more work, but if you got people helping you, like family and whatnot, it's pretty easy. This, not easy. This is going to take work. This is where I get myself in trouble, because when people come in and tell me, oh, I'm just going to do this, be simple. Man, if you're not willing to work, this is not going to stay. You have to be willing to work. You can do this as long as you're willing to not be lazy and put in the work. Cool? Cool. Next up, where I'll likely never see myself, we call the big business breeder. Okay, they're producing employees, company, dental plan, medical. Unless you're in a country where the medical's free, but we don't live in that place because that would be communism. Not really. It's just, me being an asshole. I mean, what I mean by dental plan, medical, what I mean by that is they're running a company. So they're going to have employees. They're going to have those employee laws covered. They're going to have to provide what they need to provide. They're going to have to provide income to those employees. So they may not all be offered dental and medical, but you're going to be doing that kind of stuff. What's their goal? It's simple. Profit. That's number one. Number two is profit. That's number two. This is all about money, okay? It is. It is. Now, somebody's going to get pissed about that, and I don't really give a shit. I'll explain what I mean. It doesn't mean there's not room to do a side project. I'm not saying that you can't have passion and be here. What I am saying is if you're that big breeder and you're that business, you're producing at a level that you've got. And I'm not talking you got one dude who works for you part-time on the weekends and helps you clean shit, okay? You could be doing that still at for profit because you're paying, somebody on the table or whatnot, or you're paying a guy every now and then when you're gone. I have to do that if I leave. I may hire a buddy of mine to come check stuff out while I'm gone and flood him a little cash or something like that. Not cash IRS. Never. Yeah, anyway, but here, you literally have dudes who come in, they punch the clock at 8, they punch the clock at 5, or whatever time you set up. They work literally for you. They rely upon you for their family to eat. Okay? They rely upon your business that you've built for their kids to go to school. They rely upon you to have a car to drive, for their house bill to get paid, to have lights on. They're relying upon you for that because they are your employees and you are the main source of their income. So with that, profit's your number one goal and profit's your number two goal. Because if you ain't making profit, you have people relying on you to feed their family. And if you fail that mission, well, you're going to feel like shit. I would anyway. Some people probably don't care, but I would feel terrible. So their goal has to be profit one, has to be profit two. It is all about the money. If the money's not good, nothing else happens. Here, because this is not my main goal, I'm for profit, but I'm not making my living here. This can kind of gray. These areas can gray a little bit. I'll explain what I mean in that. And that is a factual thing. But there's still room to do a side project. There's still room to do something you really like in here if you want to. But the profit comes first, the profit comes second. It's all about the money, because anytime you run any business, it's about making money. If you're running a large business with employees and your main goal ain't making money, you're doing it wrong. That's just a fact. Tesla exists not so Elon Musk can have fun and tweet. Tesla exists because it makes Elon Musk money. Never doubt it. Amazon doesn't exist so you can stream stuff for easy and get 2-day shipping. Amazon exists because Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world. Never doubt it. If it didn't make him money, he wouldn't be doing it. Am I right, Kurt?
Yep.
Kurt agrees. So where I say these areas can gray, here, you're never going to have employees relying on you. I will never have 5 or 6 guys, at least I don't plan to, relying on me to eat dinner. Unless my wife's cooking dinner for them, it was a party. But they're never going to be relying on me to make sure their family's fed. They're never going to be relying on me to make sure that their electric bill gets paid. They're never going to be relying on me and have that trust and that contract where, hey, you come to work every day and I'm going to make sure your bills are covered as long as you don't spend money like an idiot because I'm going to give you this every month. I don't ever plan on being there. Now, if this was my sole job, which it may be one day, and Kurt's sole job, which if it's my sole job, I dropped my pen, it's Kurt's sole job as well, then yes, we're relying on profit has to kind of become even more important. Maybe you get a profit one, profit two, and then fun, right? Because we're now relying on it to keep our lights on and keep us fed. Obviously, that's not cheap, okay? I admit it. I like my pizza. So you kind of get that gray area on what your goals are. This can become more like this in goals, but I don't have to deal with people. I don't want to deal with employees. I don't want that life. I want to manage my animals. I learned that a long time ago in talking to a friend of mine. I won't name drop them because it's not my place to do so. And I'm not the guy that just name drops people to name drop people. Like, hey, watch me drop this name so you'll watch my shit, put it in my title. I try not to do that. And he told me that he wished that his size would have stayed where he could have been more focused on animals, not had to focus on people so much. And he realized that when he would open things and not even know what he was looking at in his own collection, because it was people working on it for him all the time, and he was so busy managing those aspects of it that he wasn't really involved in animals. He actually shrunk down his operation because of it, which is hard to do, and damn if it ain't noble. Like it really is, to like realize where your goals really lie and then be able to retract to get there. I have a lot of respect for that person for that, amongst many other reasons. But anyway, that is my thought process on the different levels of breeding. So we're going to get rid of the you're not real. You're either breeder curious, you're a hobby breeder, you're a for-profit breeder, or you're a big business breeder. That's where you fit. Congratulations. If you don't think you fit there and you think you fit somewhere else, I'd love to hear it. As long as it says breeder in it, I'm cool with it, because I'm not the one who makes all the rules. This is just kind of how I see it. And this is a way where when we talk to each other, we know who we're talking to. If I'm talking to a guy who I know is for profit, I know what his goals are. He knows what mine are. If I'm talking to somebody who's a hobby breeder, I kind of know what their goals are. They know what mine are. They know where we're different. I've talked to a guy who's running 5 employees, 6 employees, 7 employees, and he's, he can't look at me like, well, you're not a real breeder. You don't have employees. You're right. I'm not a big business breeder because I don't want to deal with that shit from day to day, but I'm still breeding. Just like here, I can't be like, well, you're not a real breeder. Or sorry, here I could be like, well, you're not a real breeder yet because you haven't produced one, but that'd be dickish of me. I could go here, well, you're not a real breeder because you're not making money. Well, no, they don't care about that. That's not their goal. They're still a real breeder. Their goals are just different. Their aspects are different. It's just a different what you want out of this hobby. Let me tell you something. There's room for all of this in here. As a matter of fact, if you take one of these out, it gets harder to survive. You could lose this, you could lose this, and this could still exist. It will not exist without these two. Everything we do is truly based on these two groups, the hobby breeder and the breed curious. Those are probably the largest groups out there. Those are also the groups that grow the hobby, okay? These aren't growing the hobby. These make up a smaller percentage of the snake owners out there. New snake owners also don't get here. The people who get here, most of them started here. Well, they all had to start here because you didn't produce one your first day, right? But they all usually started here. And maybe they weren't here very long before they got, man, this is really fun. And they invested a shit ton and then they were going right to here. I mean, you can do that, but it usually starts here. So if you alienate these people, you are going to miss out on this hobby growing, and you're going to cost these people, including yourself if you're there, money. And these people money, because they're still making money, right? They're just not trying to they're not trying to pay their bills that way. So anyway, that's where I'm at. They're all real breeders. Let's be nice to each other. Let's be kind to each other. Let's quit trying to tear down people just because they have a different goal. It's fine. Be nice out there, Facebook. That's why we're here, telling you to be nice. I shouldn't have to be the Facebook police, but I am. Or the Instagram police, or the police of the whole community. Not my job. So just be nice to each other. It's pretty simple. Kurt, anything you want to add?
No.
Kurt says no. It's what Kurt always says. So anyway, I'm going to hide, and I will see you all next week.